What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Sport Universe video. What we're going to be talking about today is the Derrick Rose Knicks trade. Now, it's not 2016, it's 2021, and the Knicks are again trying to acquire Derrick Rose. I mean, it's pretty much done. I think what the deal is still moving a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being Dennis Smith Jr. and the Knicks' 40th overall pick in the 2021 draft, which came from Charlotte. And it's currently, like I said, in the 40th slot. We'll see if that changes, depends how Charlotte ends the season. But it's Dennis Smith Jr. in that pick for Derrick Rose. And for the Pistons, they get rid of, I think it's going to end up being like $2 million. They shed $2 million of cap. And for the Knicks, they get a talented point guard. Right now, does it make sense for the Knicks to be acquiring someone like him? We're going to be talking about that in this video. And also, what the implications of the trade are, both for the Pistons and for the Knicks. Before we get into that, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll get right into it.
Alright, so let's start first with what the Knicks would be getting, which is, of course, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, 32 years old. We know the story with Derrick Rose. He had an outstanding start to his career, and then he got injured, and then it all went downhill for him. But not completely downhill. He's definitely revitalized his career. He's a top-of-the-line point guard in the NBA, just not what he was, of course. So in 2020, 2021, he's averaged 14.2 points, 1.9 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and what might be even more important is that he averaged only 22 minutes per game with the Pistons. So, him going to the Knicks could be interesting how they go about it. In my opinion, they're definitely going to try and move Elfrid Payton before the trade deadline because the Knicks have Emmanuel Quigley coming off the bench for now, but he's definitely talented and could be a starter for the Knicks right now, honestly, but isn't yet. And let's just say the Knicks end up trading Elfrid Payton very soon. Derrick Rose is not going to probably be able to fill the 28 minutes per game that Elfrid Payton does. So that could lead to Emmanuel Quigley getting more time, or Tom Thibodeau relying on Derrick Rose more than the Pistons did. And if we go back in time to when Derrick Rose was first a Knick, he had one of his best seasons since his injury, where he had 18 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 4.4 assists. But it's just an interesting time to be trading for a player like Derrick Rose for the Knicks, because the Knicks coming into the season were supposed to be a team rebuilding, not really having a lot of success, and in all honesty, they played much better than people expected, for sure. They're 8th in the conference right now and have a chance to make the playoffs, and that could be why they're looking at getting Derrick Rose, because maybe they want to make a playoff push. I don't think the Knicks or Knicks fans think that they could get far in the playoffs, but I think it would be a huge moment for these young players to learn how to play in a place that the Knicks hope they are consistently throughout their career. Now, for the Pistons, why are they making this trade? The Pistons, I think, are the worst team, at least in the conference, but maybe in the whole NBA. I think they have 5 wins. There's no point to have Derrick Rose. I think Derrick Rose has basically asked for a trade, and they mutually agreed, I think, January 30th to make a trade to get Derrick Rose on a contender, somewhat of a contender, at least with the Knicks. And the Pistons want to give their young players a chance to play. It's a team that's rebuilding, and they want to give young players a chance to play, which is obviously what you want to do as a rebuilding team. And you get another young player like Dennis Smith Jr. to add to your roster. Now, Dennis Smith Jr., there's definitely something up with Dennis Smith Jr. that makes him, who seems like such an athletic talent, not be able to play well in the NBA. And Dennis Smith Jr. had recently requested the Knicks to send him to the G League, and now seems to be going to the Pistons and having a really good chance to play, which is huge for Dennis Smith Jr. and I guess huge for the Pistons because they get to maybe try and rebuild Dennis Smith Jr., who's only 23 years old. And in addition, which is probably one of the bigger reasons the Pistons want to make this trade, is they get the Knicks' second-round pick in 2021, which I said currently is the 40th pick overall. Obviously, you have to get really lucky to get a good player in the second round, but teams have done it. Teams have gotten undrafted players that turn out really well. So Charlotte's hoping that maybe they can find a diamond in the rough, and that's why they're going to make this trade. In all, I think both teams really benefit. I don't think there's anyone that's going to end up winning this trade unless the Hornets find a diamond in the rough with the 40th pick overall. But that's it.